Okay, for number 18, we've been told that P is a point on the terminal side of theta in standard position. It says find the exact values of the 6 trig functions. Okay, so here is what you need to know. Because it's talking about 6 trig functions, that means we're going to have sine of theta, cosine of theta, tangent of theta, and then we've got cosecant theta. Remember, that's the inverse of sine theta. And then secant of theta, and then cotangent of theta. Okay, so this is what it's asking for, these 6 trig functions. So let's draw a sketch, and you should draw a sketch as well. All right, so we know we are at -5, 5, which means we come over this direction, -5, and we go up 5. Okay, so that's -5, this is 5. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you about the hypotenuse? Well, you could do this a couple of different ways, but you understand this is going to be 5 squared, this is going to be 5 squared. That means you're going to have the square root of 50, right? Which is equal to 5 times the square root of 2. Do you follow all that? That is, so now you have your theta angle right here. That's in standard position, sitting on the x-axis there, right? All right, so let's find out what the sine is. All right, well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So we have 5 over 5 times the square root of 2. Okay, now do you see that it says exact value? Otherwise, we could just plug this in the calculator, but unfortunately, because it says exact value, we can't round. So do you see this? These 5's cancel, so we are left with 1 over the square root of 2. Which means we have the square root of 2 over 2 because I rationalized the denominator. Do you follow how I got that? I multiplied this by the square root of 2 and multiplied this by the square root of 2. Hopefully that makes sense. Didn't go too fast for you. All right. Now we're ready for the cosine, which is the adjacent value. Okay, so that means we have -5 over 5 times the square root of 2, which I hope you can see we're going to have the exact same result, except it's going to be negative because of this negative value. So that's equal to negative square root of 2 over 2. All right, let's keep going. Now we have tangent, which is -5 over 5, opposite over adjacent, so that gives us -1. That was nice and easy, which means that the cotangent is going to be nice and easy as well. That's going to be -1. So now we're ready to do the cosecant. And remember, cosecant is just going to be this guy switched up, okay? So we have 2 over the square root of 2, which means that if we rationalize the denominator again, we're going to get, what are we going to get? 2 times the square root of 2 over 2, right? Because essentially what I did is I multiplied by the square root of 2, multiplied by the square root of 2, and that gives me this. Okay, then these cancel, right? And so we are left with the square root of 2. Now, can you see that because of that, that means that this one's just going to be negative square root of 2. If you do all of that math as well, you get the same thing. Now, another way to think of this cosecant and secant stuff, remember secant is equal to, if cosine was equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, secant is equal to hypotenuse over adjacent. Okay, so let's come over here and look at this. Secant would be hypotenuse, which is 5 times the square root of 2, 5 times the square root of 2 over the adjacent, which is -5. So this cancels, that gives you negative square root of 2. That's exactly what we had right here. So hopefully all of that makes sense. There's a couple of different ways that you can kind of process through these. But when it says 6 trig functions, you have to have all 6 of these, okay?